Before we start, this video contains spoilers concerning the new Dragon Ball movie, Dragon Ball Super Superhero. So if you haven't seen the movie or don't want to be spoiled, then I suggest you click elsewhere. You have been warned. Okay, now that's out of the way, let's get into this week's video. Scaling Broly from Dragon Ball Super? There's a lot I want to discuss, so we'll break it down by first going through a recent interview from Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama, who dropped some new details about Dragon Ball Super, Superhero's final villain Cell Max, and how he stacks up to the infamous Broly. For those who haven't seen the latest movie, a new version of the genetically engineered warrior that Gohan originally defeated in Dragon Ball Z was created by the genius grandson of Dr. Gero and Vomi, aka Android 21. Cell Max distinguishes itself from its alternate future predecessor by being several stories tall and sporting a new red color scheme. And if you needed confirmation, Toriyama states that Cell Max is also substantially more powerful than the original incarnation of the character. But the big headline was Toriyama stating Cell Max had the potential to be one of the strongest characters in the Dragon Ball universe, but because he was activated before he was complete, he's still weaker than the primary antagonist of the previous Dragon Ball Super movie, Broly. Now, of course, if you've seen the movie, you'll know that while it takes the combined efforts of Gohan and Piccolo utilizing both of their new forms to take down Cell Max, Gohan by himself seemed to be a couple of levels above Cell Max, and the only reason Piccolo was needed was more to hold Cell down so Gohan could deliver a vicious one-shot finish. Moreover, there's a section of the movie where it states that Cell Max is technically complete, and the only thing missing is his mind control. So many online assumed two things. Firstly, that since only a stable mind was missing from Cell Max, that in terms of raw power, he's stronger than Broly. And two, since Gohan Beast looks so much more powerful than Cell Max, he's also stronger than Broly. I've seen a lot of people push this narrative, whether it's big YouTubers or just individuals on other social media platforms, but without being too much of a cynic, I think a lot of these so-called fans have seen a headline which can be twisted and have pushed a false narrative to generate traffic on their pages. I just don't agree with it, and I'm going to give you my reasonings as to why, and you can tell me whether I'm on the right track or if I'm just completely off the pace. So the first and most blatant point to make is, Toriyama isn't really saying much with his comments. He's categorically stating that Cell Max isn't stronger than Broly since he wasn't completed according to plan, and to me, and the comments seem more geared towards hyping the superhero movie up. It's like Toriyama stating that if Yamcha was a Saiyan who turned Super Saiyan 1000, he'd probably be able to beat Goku. Well, maybe not since it's Yamcha, but you get the point now, don't you? Yamcha could have been able to defeat Goku if he was a Saiyan and had access to the previous power mentioned, but he isn't, so he can't beat Goku, and nor can Cell Max defeat Broly. Now, in terms of Cell Max having more raw power than Broly due to the idea that only his mind control was missing, well, it's possible, but I want to refer to two issues with that line of thinking. The first is, pure power, as crazy as it sounds, isn't the be-all and end-all in Dragon Ball. We've seen it many times before, with perhaps the most recognizable example being when Future Trunks fought Cell from Dragon Ball Z and powered up to a level beyond Cell. You couldn't lay a glove on him because he was too slow. Technique and skills matter, especially nowadays with characters like Moro coming into the frame with his magical abilities. And whilst most label Broly as just a brute who grows stronger in power level, he's been mentioned numerous times by others as a very capable fighter, and I'd argue that his skills also grow at a rate nearly as rapid as his brute power. In fact, some source material like the one currently on the screen suggests that Broly's loss of thought against Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta was one of the key reasons to him losing. Of course, Gogeta Blue is stronger, but Broly's lack of cognitive thinking also plays a small factor too. And this also leads on to my other point. We don't know what Toriyama had in mind with Cell Max's full potential. I mean, for all we know, with a fully functional brain, Cell Max could have numerous abilities which would be unstoppable to deal with. Look at Perfect Cell. He could shoot Cell Juniors out, had regeneration, and some level of absorption. If Perfect Cell was brainless like Cell Max, while Perfect Cell would still have the previously mentioned moves in his arsenal, he wouldn't be able to access those abilities because he wouldn't even be thinking about it or even know that he had them. A final point I want to make is commenting on the language Toriyama uses. Toriyama states Cell Max would be someone not even Broly could defeat. The word even makes me believe that Broly is held in highest regard in Toriyama's mind. For example, let's compare the two following statements. Goku can't out-eat Majin Buu. Even Goku can't out-eat Majin Buu. The term even places the initial character in question in the highest regard when considering said topic. And that's what I think Toriyama is doing when he says even Broly wouldn't have been able to defeat Cell Max. Broly in his mind is one of the strongest characters within the series, and that message has been reaffirmed everywhere, from character interactions to editor comments to promotional material. Toriyama wants to hype up the new movie villain in Cell Max, so associates one of the strongest characters he can think of with said villain. Effectively, it is a loose statement that in the grand scheme of things is more of a compliment to Broly than anything else, and I think unfortunately many individuals saw an opportunity for clicks and engagements, and we ended up with Gohan Beast is stronger than everyone since Cell Max is more powerful than Broly, etc, etc. Once again, from all the material available, it's quite the opposite. Broly has constantly been positioned as one of the strongest in the series, and I'll also be going through some of the older material that came out over the last few years regarding Broly that I think proves this too. One of those said materials is an interview that came out a couple of months ago with Dragon Ball Super manga author and artist Toyotaro, which discussed the current Granola arc and its theme, the strongest in the universe. Funnily enough, there was a lot of mistranslations when the interview first came out, with incorrect screenshots of the interview seemingly showing Toyotaro confirming that Beerus and Broly are currently stronger than Goku post the Moro arc, which would include Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, it didn't take long for people to slightly debunk the screenshots, with the actuality of the interview being that yes, Goku is in fact weaker than Beerus, but the person who said Broly was stronger than Goku Ultra Instinct was the interviewer. This then re-sparked a huge discussion about whether Broly is stronger than numerous characters, including Goku, Vegeta, and Jiren. Now, right off the bat, it's unfair to dismiss the statement that Toyotaro saying Broly is stronger than Goku as being false. The reason being is the interviewer who slipped in that Broly is stronger than Goku currently is in the Granola arc is in fact the editor of Dragon Ball Super, Victory Uchida. Now that's a huge deal. In some ways, that's just as credible as the author saying it. Without getting too deep into this topic, editors usually have huge roles in the construction of a manga story. Off the top of my head, the editor for Dragon Ball Z at the time, Yu Kondo, told Toriyama that Imperfect Cell was ugly and that he had to transform once more to look more aesthetically pleasing, and Toriyama confesses that it had to be done. Moreover, I wanted to discuss the format of this interview between Toyotaro and Uchida. When watching the footage of Uchida questioning Toyotaro, they were more like friends having an informal chat rather than an interview, and when the discussion of the strongest warrior came about, Toyotaro was listing individuals who were stronger than Goku and how Goku still has a way to go, and Uchida said Broly as if Toyotaro had simply forgotten. Toyotaro could have easily said no, or that remains up for debate, but what he said is, and Beerus. Toyotaro could have simply said, actually, Broly isn't stronger than Goku is right now, or question Uchida's train of thought as to why Broly is stronger. But since Toyotaro says and, effectively he's saying, yeah, I agree, and don't forget about Beerus. And while this might be controversial, I do think it's consistent with the power scaling that we've seen so far. So hear me out for a minute on this one, okay? Goku thinks Broly might be stronger than Beerus. We know Vegito Blue within the Zamasu arc was confirmed to be relative to Beerus' power according to official sources. We can assume Vegito Blue would be as strong as Gogeta Blue in the Broly movie if Goku and Vegeta fused after the Tournament of Power and before the Moro arc. If you use that logic, there is no inconsistency. Vegito Blue would be stronger than Beerus if Goku and Vegeta fused during the Broly arc. Gogeta Blue is stronger than Beerus and Beerus and Broly is stronger than Goku Ultra Instinct. I can appreciate there being some confusing material which seemingly leads people to different conclusions. One being that Jiren the Grey is stronger than all gods of destruction, but going back and rereading the Dragon Ball Super manga and watching the anime all over again, there are a lot of statements which lack substance. One of the confusing examples being an anime-only scene where Whis is talking about a mortal that exists that is stronger than all gods of destruction. The indication is, it's about Jiren, as the comment is made in reply to Jiren fighting, but Whis never actually categorically states that that individual is Jiren. And with it being an anime-only scene, we're treading in muddy waters, especially since the canon of Dragon Ball Super has been up for debate for a while, with many arguing that for something to be canon in this series, it must appear in both the anime and manga. Of course, using that logic, Jiren isn't stronger than the gods of destruction. But to take it one step further now, I personally go off the manga's interpretation of the series, especially since Toriyama has stated prior he's happy with the manga's rendition of his story and was unhappy with the way the anime studios handled his storylines. I think this is more consistent because even in Dragon Ball Super Broly, which is penned by Toriyama, we never see anime-only forms such as Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken or Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. So going off the manga, the only source which really pushes a narrative that Jiren is stronger than the gods of destruction is a panel where Toppo describes Jiren as stronger in battle against his God, Belmont. The statement itself is without a doubt a huge claim to make, and for a while I was one of the few who believed that Jiren was in fact stronger than the GODs. Analysing the statement, it seemed to be more in reference to fighting technique and skill. This was also reaffirmed in the superhero movie, where Vegeta and Whis concurred that Jiren wasn't much more powerful than either Vegeta or Goku, but that his fighting skills were just better and more cohesive. In short, I now believe that while Jiren is a better fighter than most, as well as a better fighter than Belmont, but in an actual fight, I think he likes to lose to the likes of Beerus, Broly, and even Belmont. I know the last name will come as a surprise too, but if Jiren was simply stronger and could defeat Belmont no questions asked, then Toppo could have just said he's stronger than Belmont, but the mangaka went out of his way to add some conditions as to what Jiren is greater than Belmont at. We've also seen Belmont fight a little, and there's two things to know. He doesn't seem to be a warrior type fighter with immaculate fighting technique, and just look at him. He's literally a clown. I think it's more likely, based off Belmont's previous interactions, appearance and mannerisms, that Belmont's fighting style is more of a trickster than anything else. Maybe the type to have special moves which are more hacks rather than outright power. We've just seen a lot of Belmont and his style, as previously stated in the way he looks, a clown / trickster type of fighter. Another point to note is that even if Jiren could defeat Belmont, it doesn't mean he's stronger than all other GODs. And considering Beerus has been referred to as the strongest of the GODs, and that Goku was theorized that Broly is stronger than Beerus, this is all consistent with Broly being relative to the strongest of GODs, and that Broly and Beerus are stronger than Jiren, who scales to perhaps a low fighting level skill GOD in combat ability, and Belmont, who might rely on hacks abilities rather than actual fighting ability. We need to see more Belmont to get a proper gist of what type of fighter he is, but that's where I'm leaning with the Jiren in comparison to Belmont situation. Another aspect I wanted to mention was Goku's interpretation of Broly maybe being stronger than Beerus was stated at the end of the Broly movie after the big battle between Broly and Gogeta. The placement of this statement means it wasn't put in there to hype Broly up, or else they would have slipped in it before the big fight. Again, it's all consistent with the previous scaling that Gogeta Blue is stronger than Beerus, who is relative to Broly. I also want to add, within the Broly novels, Broly was constantly stated to be the strongest antagonist within the series up until that point. Heck, even Frieza thought of Broly as the most powerful warrior he'd ever seen, and since this is after TOP, this would include the likes of Ultra Instinct Goku and Jiren. And since the novel came out on the day of the movie, has screenshots of the movie, and is effectively a more detailed play-by-play of the movie, it's one of the more reliable sources. Basically, it's not as if the novel came out months later and is a product made by outsiders with little connection to the movie. All in all, based off everything, the interviews, source material, promotional material, Broly scales underneath a fusion between Goku and Vegeta, but on par or greater than the upper end of the GODs and above the likes of Jiren, Gohan Beast, Goku, Vegeta, and Cell Max. A side note that I want to make is we still have a lot to explore in Dragon Ball Super, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Beerus has a special transformation or power not yet seen before, and in that case, all bets are off with Broly being as strong as Beerus. But for now, I'd rank Broly as relative to Beerus, and above practically everyone except a fusion of Goku and Vegeta. Of course, this doesn't include Angels and the Grand Priest, etc. But that's it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think I'm completely off with my thinking? Is Broly weaker than where I've scaled him? Perhaps he's stronger. Let's have a debate about it. And of course, if you like what you saw, then please subscribe. I'm going to try being active on this channel, and I'd love to interact with you. Oh, and don't forget to check out my Patreon. I've got some pretty cool perks, and your support will also mean I can make this a full-time thing. But yeah, I'm Studio Kaboom signing off. Stay safe wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.